Hello everyone, myself Dr. Ravi Agrari and welcome to all of you on the Purvanchalize online platform. As you know guys that I'm working here especially for the current affairs updates of 2021 and you know guys, in the earlier videos I finished my lecture of the July month 2020. Here in the next month current affairs sessions regarding the science and technology part is August 2020, and these all the month-wise current affairs updations. That updation even I have also done in my 5th edition book. So if you have 4th edition book, so these updation if you'll do, so it will be enough for the new updates. So let us start the current affairs parts of entire August month. What was the current affair related issues from the science and technology? As you know guys, in this entire current affairs sessions, I follow few chapters. Either you go for static or current updates. Okay, these few 11 chapters, even I summarize in my book, those you can see on the screen here guys. These 11 chapters of science and technology is mentioned here on the screen. The science and technology in India, energy, space technology, information communication technology, defense technology, artificial intelligence, robotics and nanotechnology, IPR, its related rights, particle physics, biotechnology, health and disease with various immunization program and miscellaneous topics. So these 11 chapters, the static part and contemporary issues you must have to prepare, and current parts you must have to prepare. Again, before going to start this video, the current affairs sections, this portions, I'll tell you guys, if you are not well and good in the science and technology static part, so you can join Purvanchalize app based science and tech and environment portions that is already there. Here one thing I'll tell you that is very important, that last 4 years, even 17 onwards, 17 to 20, okay, 17, 18, 19, 20, the 4 years question paper if you see, so around 80% questions were static. In 2016 I got around 60% question was the current affairs based, but again those I always spoke in you, again here I will repeat guys, if we people cannot miss the current affairs even, okay fine, in the last 17 to 20, 4 years static part was dominating around 80%. In 2016, 60% was current affairs. I'm telling in the science and technology. So we people should have to give an equal weightage to both static and current affairs. So proceed. And accordingly, these all the chapter wise, those current affairs in this month, August 2020, I'll start and discuss with you. So the first discussion here that will come from the first chapter, science and technology in India. If you see your main syllabus, so Indian scientists and their contributions, achievements, indigenization. So here Vikram Sarabhai is a very popular person. Okay, actually Chandrayaan 2, those India launch, I hope you people know very well, that was on 22nd July 2019. So in 22nd July 2019, it is a second Chandrayaan mission of India. And here in this mission guys, that this mission orbiter, okay, orbiter, I hope you remember in the static discussion I told you that Chandrayaan 2 carried 3 components. The one was the orbiter, second was the lander, and third one was the rover. Okay, that 3. Orbiter that we put into the orbit, and from that orbit it will take the better picture and images of the moon surface. That was 100 km far from the surface. That was the orbiter. Lander could not become successful properly on the landing, that I discussed in the previous lecture during the discussion of LRO. I discussed with you LRO in the July month of current affair issues. I hope you people have listened that entire video of LROs. Okay. So actually I'm telling you orbiter portion still working, and one of the crater was discovered on the moon surface, a very big size of craters, and in the honor and the respect of the Vikram Sarabhai, ISRO has given a name of that crater as a Sarabhai crater. So that's why the Sarabhai even got popular again, is because of a crater. So I hope you people remember. So which scientist name based craters recently ISRO has mentioned a name on the moon surface, that is the Vikram Sarabhai. But yes, one thing I'll tell you guys about Vikram Sarabhai contributions. You know guys, after independence 1947, Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India, everybody know. He also has shown the interest in the space research work in India. And for that purposes, he called to Vikram Sarabhai. And under the chairmanship of Vikram Sarabhai, this committee was set up during the period of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay. And the name of committee was INCOSPAR. Okay. Its chairman was Vikram Sarabhai. This committee was set up in 1962. INCOSPAR, its full form is the Indian National Committee for the Space Research. Okay, and see, you know, this committee has given their own recommendations, and on the basis of this committee recommendation, 15th August 1969. What happened? ISRO born. So ISRO born, it was a result of recommendation of this committee. So those committee was set up, guys. This committee has given the recommendations, and on that basis 1969 a separate organization even set up in India. That name was ISRO. Those even made a lot of history and create a lot of proud moments for all of you people, guys, all of Indians. ISRO, it's an Indian Space Research Organization in 1969. But you know what happened in 1972? In 1972, okay, what happened next in 1972? Okay, so in 1972, a separate department was set up. That department name was Department of Space, DOS. So 1972 Department of Space, a separate department was set up, and ISRO brought under it. So today if I'll ask you guys, ISRO is working under, the answer is ISRO is working under Department of Space. And who is above Department of Space? So directly it is under the commanding of Prime Minister Office. So what is the hierarchy today? Prime Minister Office, below it have a Department of Space, and under Department of Space ISRO is working. And ISRO has a many regional center where have a different types of development of satellite development, launch vehicle development, cryogenic engine development. So different regional centers where we are developing the space research based parts. Even a part of, guys, Vikram Sarabhai was founded a physical research laboratory in 1947 in Ahmedabad. This is also one of the contribution of Vikram Sarabhai. And one thing more, guys, the first launching station those India used, it was in Kerala. Okay, it was in Kerala, near to Thiruvananthapuram airport, and that place is popular as a Thumba. So Thumba was the first launching site of India. Today you people know very well it's the Satish Dhawan Space Center, but the first time India's first rocket launch site was the Thumba. Okay, and it was also the contribution of Vikram Sarabhai. Vikram Sarabhai, even with the help of NASA, okay, he established in 1975 one of the satellites projects became even successful. That name was a SITE. SITE means satellite instructional television experiment. That satellites was even put successfully with the help of NASA. And you know, guys, with the help of it, what happened in India, because of Vikram Sarabhai, even also responsible for bringing the cable television services. So cable television services in India even also become possible because of Vikram Sarabhai contribution, where the site was the one of the satellite launched in 1975. So whole works was under what? Under Vikram Sarabhai. And yes, of course, guys, the first satellite those India made put successfully into the orbit successfully with the help of Russian launch vehicle Interkosmos. And even it is the history of India, guys. The date was 19th April 1975. It's a history of India. With the help of Russian launch vehicle Interkosmos, India launched the Aryabhatta. Okay, that is the first satellite of India. Yeah, but that is okay. Aryabhatta was what? It was an experimental category. I told you in the static discussion, guys, the 5 type of satellites India launched. The one that was an experimental category. The second one, second one experimental but university category, university satellites. Third one, you know, remote sensing. Fourth, Earth observation, and fifth is the INSAT or GSAT. Here the Aryabhatta was the experimental category. Even Vikram Sarabhai name also connecting with the founding member of the Indian Institute of Management, IIMA, Ahmedabad. And yes, because of his great contributions, he got the Padma Bhushan in 1966 and the Padma Vibhushan in 1972. These are the second and third largest even civilian awards in India. You know, the first civilian awards, okay, ranking 1, the first civil award in India is a Bharat Ratna. I hope you people know very well. Bharat Ratna is the first civilian award of India. Second civilian award of India is the Padma Vibhushan. That name is given there. Third civilian award is called Padma Bhushan, and the fourth civilian award is a Padma Shri. So the third civilian award in 1966 he got it, and second civilian award he got in 1972 for his contribution. Badu is a very popular, even it was in the news from the last 2-3 years. And Badu is what, guys? Actually, Badu is one of the global GPS. It's a global GPS, and it's a global GPS of China. You know, China declared now this global is totally this Badu is totally globalized. Okay, globalized. Globalized means now this Badu is going to cover the whole entire world, picture and images. Okay, so it's a globalized GPS, I will tell you guys. It's a globalized GPS. Even India also have a GPS, but Indian GPS is a regional GPS. Okay, and see, this is the China recently completed the Beidou navigation satellite system constellations, because this Beidou of the global GPS of China is not working with the help of single satellites. Many satellites constellations are working together, and these constellations you can find out 27 satellites into the medium Earth orbit. Median Earth orbit, yeah, you can call as an inclined or transitional orbit. Here the distance of the satellites around 20,000 kilometer. I still discuss in the static part, LEO, MEO, GEO, polar inclined or transitional, and geostationary and geosynchronous. Five China has put into the geostationary orbit, and 3 China put into the geosynchronous orbit. Geostationary orbit, this position is always fixed in the particular location of time. Particular location, again I repeat, geostationary, here the location always fixed for the particular location, and the satellite always fixed. So in the respect of Earth movement, that satellite always, you know what is, it is looking like stationary in front of them 24/7. So it's a geostationary. But what is the geosynchronous? Geosynchronous is not a position specific, as we have seen in the case of geostationary. Geosynchronous is what? It is a time specific. It is a time specific. So which is a time specific? Geosynchronous orbit is a time specific. So after regular period of time, again at the same time, the satellites will come at the same location on the Earth's surface. In that way, geosynchronous and geostationary is going to different. So geostationary, always the position is specific. A 24/7 position is same, but geosynchronous is a time specific. Again at the same time, the same place will come. This is the logic of geosynchronous. How it is so, I discussed with you during the discussion of IRNSS, when I have explained with you about the IRNSS, that is a regional GPS of India, and that time I explained with you about the comparison of geostationary and geosynchronous. But one thing I'm telling you, which is very, very specific, if any country want to set up the globalized GPS, okay, want to use a GPS as a globalized, so that country must have to put the satellite into the medium Earth orbit. At least distance from the Earth surface should be 20,000 kilometer. Even in my knowledge, guys, India has not launched any of the satellite into the medium Earth orbit. This is the reason those regional GPS of India have today as Gagan and IRNSS. These both two are regional, not globalized. Okay, and see, actually the China has started the Beidou project from 1994. The purpose was fishery, purpose was agriculture, spatial care, mass market applications, forestry and public security purposes. Okay, and definitely accurate positioning system, navigation and timing, for that purposes Beidou was offered in 1994. And see, earlier there was a news that China will make it globalized by 2020. So now I am discussing within 2021, and this was the news in August 2020 that China made it. So that China has made a target, China has completed their own target on the particular time period. Okay, see, the first global GPS in the world, it was a Novstar. Okay, this is the name of some of the global GPS, that names are given there. Okay, the name is not mentioned here, but I'm telling you it was a Novstar, US government based, but firstly it was operated by US Air Force, means it was for military purposes. Novstar was a navigation, satellite and ranging. Okay, the first global GPS during 1970s, US installed it. Even India was the need of these services during 1998 when Kargil war happened. So in the hilly areas, okay, in the Kargil regions, guys, we could not find out where are the Pakistani bunkers. Reason, not even any of the satellites were working in that particular regions. And that's why India got lot of difficulty to access Pakistani bunkers in the Kargil hilly areas. We were on the lower regions, and that bunkers was in the hilly areas. So that was, guys, we people got lot of difficulties and many casualties happened. Many of our soldiers even mitred in that period of time. So due to the technology lacking, guys, many of the soldiers even mitred in that period of time. And US refused to provide the Novstar facility at the time of Kargil war in 1998. Later on, India has started the IRNSS project. Okay, and India made successful. Okay. The second global GPS, that is the GLONASS, Global Navigation Satellite System. It's a Russian GPS. During Kargil war, this GPS was not installed and not working. Even, you know, guys, in the constellation, in the you know, I told you guys, if you want to set up any of those satellites as a GPS, as a globalized GPS, so you must have to install many number of satellites. So in this case of GLONASS, I think 4 or 5 satellites India helped to the Russia in this case to launch and to complete the constellation of GLONASS. Okay, Galileo is a European Union globalized GPS, but it is still in the news, guys, that 90% this constellation is completed, but still some more constellation is required to complete. So there is a possibility by 2021 definitely Galileo will be a news that now the European Union GPS is also globalized. Okay, so Galileo is near to completion as a globalized, but Indian, again I'm telling you, not even any of the GPS of India is a global GPS. Okay, the Gagan as the one GPS aided geo augmented navigations. It is for the improve the air traffic in India, and the second one is the IRNSS. Okay, IRNSS, that was a demand during the Kargil war, but India did not have. But today IRNSS have total 7 constellation of satellite. It is fully operational. Okay, it is fully operational. And the new name of IRNSS, when the Modi ji become a prime minister, it is also dedicated to the fishermen of India with the name of Navik. Navik is what? Navigation Indian constellation. It's a new version of IRNSS. Don't be confused, both are same. Actually, by mistake, our fishermen enter into the other countries, and then they are captured by their own coast guards. Okay, and that is the difficulty. So because in the ocean have not any boundaries. Okay, so that fishermen, when they go enter into the ocean, guys, so by mistake they enter to the another country's regions, and they're captured by the coastal guards. So that's why this Navik will provide some facility to the fishermen also, and finally they will save their own life. Apart of many other features of weathers and all information, through the help of Navik people can access. But in the beginning, the purpose of IRNSS and Navik was only for military purposes. But today the IRNSS and Navik, it is for military and civilian. For both purposes we will use it. One discussion from the space about the AstroSat telescope, India's AstroSat telescope. Actually a new galaxies, and first time a galaxy is even discussed with the help of AstroSat. AstroSat was UPSC question in 2016 prelims paper. It was a 2016 prelims question paper, you must know, guys. AstroSat is popular as a multi-wavelength observatory. Okay, at the height of 650 kilometers from the Earth's surface, that we can call as a LEO, low Earth orbit. That height is called low Earth orbit. In the static part I discussed with you, 50 to 2000 kilometers is the LEO. Above it around the 5000 to 20,000 up to MEO, and approx 36,000 is the GEO. Okay, and plus minus 5,000, 6,000, it's called geosynchronous transfer orbit, GTO. Okay, so here the satellites even launch at the height of 650 kilometers, that is called LEO, guys. And the LEO is what? LEO orbit, that is the AstroSat. And this AstroSat is popular as a multi-wavelength observatory. Okay, it works with the help of different wavelengths, and then different wavelength of light, those are coming, it will identify. And this is the reason a lot of cosmic matters. Okay, what about the various activities? Those are going to be happen in the space. Through the help of this AstroSat, we can check properly. You know, recently, what about the news of AstroSat? AstroSat was launched in the 2015. Okay, and its target year was at least 5 years it will work. But today, where this time I'm making your videos, guys, for the current updates, and what is the news today? AstroSat is also working in this moment of time. AstroSat is also working in this moment of time, you people remember. Okay, recently, what about the AstroSat? AstroSat is a multi-wavelength observatory, though set up at the height of 650 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and from here, it's have a telescope and do all the checking of the cosmic matters. Okay, space and all. Finally, it has discovered one of the specific galaxies. Okay, detected the light from a galaxies light from the galaxies are coming, and that galaxy was a odd FS01. So if UPSC asks you what about the odd FS01, to remember it's a new galaxy that was discovered by the help of AstroSat telescope. Okay, and see one thing more, guys, the distance of the galaxies is 9.3 billion light years away from the Earth. A light year is the unit that we are using, especially in the space, for the measurement of different distances. The lights even travel in the space in 1 year in a vacuum. That whole entire distance is called as a light year. Okay, so this is the distance. And see one thing, this discovery is an international collaborations by many astronomers. Okay, but from India side, our AstroSat satellite achieved it. So a part of India, the other country like Switzerland, France, USA, Japan, and Netherlands, all countries collaboration, through that we will detected and find out the presence of odd FS01 as a galaxy, guys. Okay, and the first time the star forming galaxies have been observed in this extreme UV environment conditions. So it's an achievement of the AstroSat. And see, again I'll tell you, only 5 countries have a multi-wavelength observatory, and in these 5 countries, 5th rank is the India, guys. That is the AstroSat. After US, Russia, Japan, okay, and European Union, okay, the India stand up 5th position in the world. Those have a multi-wavelength observatories. And that is written that it is the first multi-wavelength space telescope, yeah, observatory of India. Okay, which has a 5 telescopes seeing through the different wavelengths simultaneously. Visible light, near ultraviolet, far ultraviolet, soft X-ray, hard X-ray. These all different wavelength of the lights, different wavelength of lights, it can see properly. Okay, it can see properly. And yes, of course, the AstroSat was launched on 28 September 2015, and the target year was minimum at least 10 years, means 2020 it will work, but still it is working. Still it is working. And satellite distance is what? Near Earth equatorial orbit. Yeah, I told you 650 kilometer. Okay, 615 kilometer. Yeah, different multi-institute collaborative project. AstroSat was a multi-institution even worked together especially to make AstroSat satellite project successful. And which institution of in India, guys, they worked especially for the AstroSat, like IUCA, ISRO, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Indian Institute of Astrophysics, Physical Research Laboratory that you people know very well. Vikram Sarabhai was behind this setup in India. Okay, one more discussion, guys. It was in the popular in the news, guys, about the Google Pay violation. Actually, central government and the Reserve Bank of India, okay, on a plea against the Google Pay, on that plea that proceed by the central government and the Reserve Bank of India, Delhi High Court sought a response. So Delhi High Court has given a response. Those plea was filed by the central government and Reserve Bank of India, especially against Google Pay, that Google Pay has done some violations. Okay, what about the violations? The data localization, storage and sharing norms violation, this Google Pay has done. Actually, you know, guys, there are the servers. Server are those locations where we are going to save all the internet based data. Okay, and see here, government always said, even in 2020, for 2020 prelims paper, data localization was a very important topic. For that purposes, Sri Krishna committee was set up, and that Sri Krishna committee has given their own recommendations. But this question not came in 2020. This topic in 2021 current affair issues also connecting with the data localization. Those servers based data we are going to save. Your Google account, your Gmail account, your Facebook account, everything somewhere it is safe outside from the India, because these servers are not in India. Okay, so what is here, guys, that we people should have to make a server in India, just like Amazon even made one server in India. Now what is there, guys? All informations, your internet based information, those you people are going to save, it is already saved outside India. So how you can say the information is saved within the boundary of India? So this is the reason. If suppose it's a matter of your banking, it's a matter of the nation's security, and your data is not going to save inside the India server. So if the data is not safe inside the India, so it's not data localization. So data should be localized under the geographical boundary of India. And what Google Pay has done, Google Pay has given this data to the third party as the information released. Okay, not by any third party applications, you people should share a data. But that something happened. So what was the issue actually, guys? Those PLEA even filed, it claimed that the company was storing personal sensitive data in contravention of UPI procedural guideline of October 2019. So there was some guideline, UPI guidelines was even proceeded in 2019. It was a violation of that guidelines. What was the PLEA here, which allows such data to be stored only by payment service provider bank system? Okay, only all the data should provide to the payment service provider bank system, not by any third party applications. And here there was a information and news that Google Pay has done this violation, has given this data, or shared this data to the third party. And that is the reason, guys, again there was a issue of data localization. Still I will tell you, you people save these entire videos. Google Pay wala issue, it is an important issue for your mains paper also. And data localization, still it is a very important topic for your mains paper. Always remember, guys. So what is the data localization? Okay, the previous video, if you see the last year, those I made current affairs, I described a lot of the data localization, but here I will tell you, guys, it's securing the citizens' data, data privacy, data sovereignty, national security and economic development of India. Data localizations are very, very important. Within the India, we should have a server and we should protect the Indian citizens' data, because it may be a matter of the security of nation. I hope you people can understand. So those clouds and everything where people will make that, all the clouds and everything, it should be under the country's boundaries, not outside. Okay, so it was everything. Actually, one more news, guys, like about the new tick-borne virus. Tick is a kind of insects, and this type of insect you can see mostly in the hilly regions, in the hilly areas. In India, you can see it. But it was reported, guys, rapidly spreading in China. This viruses was rapidly spreading in China, and this disease, this tick carried, that is called SFTS. SFTS is a severe fever with thrombocytopenia syndrome. Again, I repeat, tick-borne diseases that even identified that was a SFTS. SFTS represent as a severe fever with the thrombocytopenia syndrome. Actually, this disease even spread from the ticks to human beings. Okay, so when the tick even bite to the human being, guys, then human can suffer with this type of diseases. It's a viral diseases, and then when the human got infection from the tick to human, then human to human it can transmit. And what about the death rate, fatality rate in the case of SFTS diseases? Around 60 to 30%. 60 to 30% is a very high mortality rate. You know, actually why SFTS got popularity in the last year current affairs, even for 2021, WHO those made us some blueprint for in the next coming 10 diseases that may be virulent in the coming future. In these 10 priority diseases, one of the disease was SFTS. That's why it got popular again. Maybe in the recent future, this type of diseases can become what? Pandemic. Okay, so it's a matter of WHO that it will work as a watchdog of many diseases, just like some mistake happened in the case of COVID. And today the COVID is spread everywhere. So in these top 10 priority listing, SFTS is also one of them. That tick-borne diseases was identified in China. Okay, and see, those tick is the carrier or reservoir of this virus. That tick is called Haemophilus longicornis. And that is an Asian tick you can call. Again, I repeat, Haemophilus longicornis. Okay, that is here, guys. And one thing more, guys, this virus even also been identified. It can also enter into the goats, cattle, deer, and sheep, because the tick bites also happen to these animals, and these animals are in the surrounding of human being. So from these animal, again, human being can suffer. Okay, SFTS even identify many years back also. It is not the first time those even identify. Okay, its incubation period of time around 13 days, 7 to 13 days. What is the incubation period? Entry of virus that is going to be happen inside your body, and appearance of symptoms. That duration of time is called as the incubation period. So first day when the virus enter inside your body, and that day when the virus express as a form of some symptom inside your body, this duration of time is called as the incubation period. So here the incubation period at least 7 to 13 days. Different types of symptoms. Most of the symptoms you can see in the case of viral fevers, even the COVID also, like fevers, fatigue, chill, headache, lymphoadenopathy, anorexia, thakan vakan, tiredness vagara a lot, nausea, myalgia, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain severe, gingival hemorrhagic, the blood RBC vagara, the blood vessels vagara rupture, and conjunctival congestion type of problems are there. But yes, guys, in these cases, one of the authentic medicines, antiviral drug has been reported, that is called ribavirin. Again, repeat, ribavirin. So it's not a massive problem for anyone. Next topic is here, that was in the current affair issues, vaccine nationalization. It's very funny statement, guys, and very interesting also. Okay, it's just a message for our Honorable Prime Minister of India, even the government of India. While say only Prime Minister, it's a matter of government of India. Actually, what the vaccine nationalization, very interesting news as I got it, and many time it was the news in the current affairs. So you people remember, even if this question can again come in your mains paper. And again, I will repeat the same all entire video you people save during your mains examination. It will be very fruitful to you. What about the vaccine nationalization? Actually, guys, several wealthier countries, here I'll tell you which one are developed and wealthier countries, like Britain, France, Germany, US type of countries. They are going to make a pre-purchase agreements. They are doing pre-purchase agreement, especially with that companies. Those are ready to make those are ready to produce the what? Okay, produce the COVID virus vaccines. COVID vaccines. So see how much these countries are fast. Suppose some of the countries are XYZ. Just recently make a medicine or vaccine, especially that will work effectively against COVID-19. So these countries are going to pre-purchase agreement they are doing. Acha, you produce it. I am ready to purchase your vaccine. First you give me. Whatever you have a demand, I am ready to pay. But what about in Indian government? First of all, Indian people, you wait. First of all, I will sell it to the other countries, and then later on, okay, when I will earn money and all, later on, if any percentage will stop, then later on I will provide you. So this type of things is not allowed, guys. It is not. But here what the countries are doing, here these are the wealthier countries, they are thinking about the life of own citizens first, and they are ready to take a deal, pre-purchase agreement. And here the pre-purchase agreement is the vaccine nationalization. This vaccine is only for me first, later on you can sell to the other countries. What about you have a demand, I am ready to pay. Okay, and these richest countries are around world of roughly 8 billion peoples. Okay, I hope you people know very well how much the monies are important for everyone. Okay, so companies and all the industries, medical sectors, what the people are doing, you people know very well. They are earning money and money and money. But it's okay. It's okay. There's no emotion, no humanity. I have seen during the COVID period of time, even our own citizens, they started to do the blackmailing with the citizens, and many of the people die because of this nature. And government even could not become successful in that period of time. Many of the casualties, many of the members even die there, but no one is responsible for it. Responsibility government has transferred to you. Why you have done this mistake? Why you become ill in that period of time? If anybody die at your home, it's your problem. That is not right. But here you see what the countries are doing. They are going to make a deal with the various companies. If you made it, I'm already pre-purchased deal. That is called national. That is called vaccine nationalism. I hope you people understood. Okay, they are managing to secure the doses of vaccines for its own citizen first, residents first, before even they are going to made available to the other countries. Residents before they are made available in other countries. So it's a pre-purchase agreement between a government and a vaccine manufacturer. What is a Sero survey? Actually, Sero survey is what? It is very, very important, and that Sero survey result happen. And because of this Sero survey, I'll tell you guys, now in India will have not the third wave. Okay, it's my consensus, my presence of mind, my knowledge telling now India will not come into the severe effect as a third wave. So third wave, if it will come, so ultimately it will not come. My first answer, if it will come, so it will be not more effective. Only I will advise to everyone, you people must have to save children somehow. Okay, and that is here I can tell you now India will have a enter into the herd immunity. Okay, actually in the 2 months, in July, August period of time, you know what happened, guys? Sero survey sample has been taken from Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai and Pune. What is Sero survey? Nothing, guys. You just take a blood sample and do some analysis. What about the analysis? In the last I will discuss with you. Okay, and that it will be very clear. The more spread than the virus test show. Through the help of this, we can check it, guys. Okay, so ultimately the virus, how it is spread and everything, we can check it. Even in the Pune city, guys, whenever the Sero survey happened, 51% of those who were tested, here the people got the presence of antibodies. It means they even affected earlier with the novel coronavirus. And half of the population, around 4 million, could have already been infected in the Pune. See, guys, 50% of population got infection because of it. Before it is exercise also happened in Delhi. And even suggested that the actual spread could be 40 times the number of confirmed cases in the case of Delhi. Increases of 40 times infection rates. And second survey, even whenever happened in Delhi, so 29% of Delhi has antibodies for COVID-19. See, it is the matter of August, I'm telling you. It's a current affairs of August 2020. So August 2020, under the Sero survey, blood sample survey, 29% of the people are reported. If 29% people were reported, it means today in this period of time, I'm in June 2020 or 21. I'm making your videos. I can tell you definitely around 70% plus people are here already got infected because of this COVID virus. So that is the reason I'm telling you. Of course, now India have a herd immunity. You already have antibodies. And Mumbai, about 40% of sample group was found to be infected. My God. What about the findings here in this case? In this case, guys, one finding that more asymptomatic cases even also identified. Those never go and take the go for the PCR and testing there, guys. Okay, and 80% of the people, those even tested, the antibodies present there, but they never have any symptoms. It show what? It show what? They have a resistance against these diseases. So that type of people under the Sero survey also identify. And another one, guys, not even the proper adequate test for the COVID. So that is also going to identify through the help of serological test. Okay, those people are going to miss through the help of blood sample, they will also identify, and it is leading the herd immunity. Definitely it is leading the herd immunity. Herd immunity means now the maximum people in your areas got immune because of it, and they will work as a barrier to spreading this disease from person to person. Okay, person to person. Fine. And see one thing more, guys. What is the sero survey? What it indicates? That is a very, very important information. I think so that question may also come in the part of health and disease wala mains question paper. So one thing, guys, it involves the collecting of blood samples. I told you. Through the help of blood sample, we can find out a person is infected with the novel coronavirus or not. One. And the second one thing, if person is infected, the person will identify. Yeah, the second thing, if person was infected in the past, guys, that person will also detect through the help of antibody will be there. And the third one, guys, identify the antibodies being produced inside the body that will literally fight against the COVID. And that on that basis we can say, of course, up to 70%, 80% got immunity, and the person in this particular area got the herd immunity. Yeah, entire India enter into the herd immunity. Recently on the 15th August 2020, Independence Day of India, guys, our Prime Minister has launched one of the specific mission, National Digital Health Mission. National Digital Health Mission, under it, guys, a National Health ID card will develop. Okay, for every Indians. But see, this project is not for entire India. Especially this project was the scheme was especially for Union Territories, where the Chandigarh, Ladakh, Dadar Nagar Haveli, Daman Diu, Puducherry, Andaman Nicobar, and the Lakshadweep areas, people even covered there. And definitely it was the demand. Actually, Niti Aayog also request to the government that why not we are going to start this type of missions where every treatments of the citizens of India through the help of Health ID card that will come under the digital system. So online system, the people can access all the informations. Okay, so National Digital Health Mission is what? It's a digital health ecosystem. That is the statement I'll tell you. Online records, everything will be there. Every Indian citizen will now have a unique health ID, digitized health records with identify for the doctors and the health facilities. So which doctor involved into your treatment? What about the treatments is there? And if you people are going to switch from one doctor to another doctor, so another doctor will not again request you for go for the next blood testing and urine testing, because online records already there. So people are not going to misguide by the doctors also. Okay, fine. Just like some of the doctors telling, no, I'll not take your samples. Even this reports, it's not valid according to me, because I prefer this lab testing only, because most of the peoples are here because the doctor also want to earn more and more. I'm not telling for all of the doctors. Some of the doctors really feel that person is very poor and they take care of them. But to me, most of the doctors, what they are doing in India, you people know very well. It's a matter of humanities and all. It's not my part here. Okay, and see, of course, guys, this mission is what? This mission is expected to bring a efficiency and transparency in the healthcare services in the country. And this scheme even will connect under the Ayushman Bharat, that is a Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. It will include there. And definitely, guys, it will be a part of liberalization. It will liberate our citizens from the challenges of finding the right doctors, seeking the appointment, payment of consultant fees, how they are paying, how much they are paying, making several rounds of hospital for prescription seats not required, among several others, and will empower the people to make informed decision, avail the best possible healthcare. You people can understand, because all the entire discussion I already have done. You know, guys, for this type of purposes, Niti Aayog, I told you guys, proposal in 2018 that government, you should work at the root level to provide a centralized mechanisms, okay, under the national health stock. Fine. And finally, on the basis of this recommendation of Niti Aayog, finally the government launched it. You know, guys, what is the background? How government realized that we should make some digital platforms for the healthcare sector? Not in the entire India it is connected, but it is only for the Union Territories, you people know. Even in 2005 in UK, United Kingdoms, first time this type of initiative was brought as a name of National Health Services. Started deployment of electronic health record system. And here, while several, even they have completed a centralized electronic health record by 2020. Okay, they have done it. While several hospitals acquired the electronic patient record system as part of this process, but this was dismantled in the United Kingdom in that reason due to the financial problems. Okay, fine. Next one, you come into the glanders. Actually, guys, there is some information here I'll tell you. It is related to the Delhi. In Delhi, actually, you know, something happened that was very, very interesting. Here, PETA is what? People for the ethical treatment of animals. People for the ethical treatment of animals, that is called PETA, file a case. Okay, so on that basis of filing a case, now Delhi government, now the Delhi High Court asked to the municipal bodies to take a step to prevent spread the glandular diseases in animals, including horses. Okay, so here there was a report, guys, that High Courts has given asked to the municipal bodies, okay, that municipal corporation in Delhi actually, what about the preventive measurement you people are taking against the glandular diseases that were going to spread in Delhi? Okay, and now what about the issue here, guys? PETA has sought direction to implement the provision of the Prevention and Control of Infectious and Contagious Diseases in the Animal Act 2009. So what about the PETA for that purposes is set up? The PETA, the purpose was at least, PETA sought directions to implement the provision of prevention and the control of infectious and contagious diseases. You people should know. Okay, and a national action plan for the control and eradication of glanders in the horses, mules, ponies, donkeys in the national capital. We people should have to treat these animals. And the glandular disease is caused by a bacteria that is called as a Burkholderia malayi. The disease is going to cause by Burkholderia malayi. Okay, it's a bacteria, guys, and see, it is also identified this disease can also come through goats, dogs and cats to the human being also. That is possible. Even goats, dogs and cats are also mammals, like to the horses. Okay, and how this disease can transmit, guys? This disease transmit to the humans through contact with the tissue or body fluid of infected animals. Reason, this type of animal like cat, goats, dogs, they are in the surrounding of human beings. Whenever they will do the sneezing, yeah, water drop, yeah, any droplets will come into the suspended air, so human can come under that exposures. So disease can transfer there. Even any of the cuts or abrasions are there, that pathogen can come inside your body. Through mucosal surfaces such as the eyes and nose, it can come. Okay, through aerosol particle or dust particle, that pathogen can spread there, guys. What type of symptoms are there? Symptoms, somehow it's very similar to viral fever or dengue type of diseases. Fever with the chills and sweating. It's something like malaria, maybe this type of symptoms you can see. Muscle aches, chest pain, muscle tightness, headache, nasal discharge, and light sensitivity, especially tearing of the eyes, guys. This type of problem happen. And one of the very interesting experiment happened. Okay, and in this experiment in Australia and Indonesia, okay, some scientists of Australia and Indonesia lab, they even worked together and they find out a treatment against the dengue disease. That is the Wolbachia method. What is the Wolbachia method? Whenever you will get it, guys, it's very, very interesting. Okay, through the help of Wolbachia method, that experiment happened in Australia and Indonesia lab. Okay, here the scientist has find out that through the help of Wolbachia method, we can reduce the incidence of dengue fever in the world. And of course, India is also that tropical country where the dengue is a severe disease. And how much the infection even decreases? Around 77% of infection rate will decrease, and around 77% definitely people can treat the populations through the help of this type of initiatives. Actually, Wolbachia is what? It is a kind of bacteria. When Wolbachia type of bacteria we introduce into a population, Aedes aegypti. Aedes aegypti is that mosquito which is responsible to carry the dengue virus, transmit the dengue virus. It works as a carrier. Okay, so you infect this Aedes aegypti through the help of Wolbachia. And now this mosquito Aedes aegypti become what? Wolbachia infected mosquitoes. And whenever then breeds and where will come, that all will become what? Non-pathogenic. Bacterium prevents the dengue viruses from replicating into the mosquito cells. So those viruses are enter into the mosquito and they are increasing their own breeding, guys, with the help of Wolbachia. Okay, Wolbachia bacteria when enter into the Aedes aegypti body, what they will do? They stop the replicating process of the viruses into the mosquito cells, and now the viruses will not increase. and in that way we people can save it. So it's an interesting news, guys. And WHO has given a report, guys, 100 to 400 million people through the help of dengue infections every other day. You know, 100 million is equal to 10 crore to 40 crore people got infection. I'm not telling all the people are going to die, but they are suffering because of these infections. One of the new recent news about the CSIR moves the mega lab to boost the COVID-19 testing. I hope in the previous lecture I told you guys during the discussion of RT-PCR. What I told you, reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction machine, I told you guys through the help of this machine, in most of the cases where COVID disease persons you are not going to identify, it's a problem, guys. And here the problem is around 30%, 20 to 30% of persons, those are still suffering with the COVID virus disease, but they are not going to find out. So here the CSIR based mega lab proceed to boost the COVID testing there, guys. And for that purposes, one of the vehicles will be moved in the nearby your areas called as a mega lab. So who worked behind it? Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. Okay, leading institution in India, those are working here, guys. A large machine based lab will be nearby. That machine is called as a NGS. What is NGS? Next generation sequencing machine. Okay, next generation sequencing machine. Okay, this machine is used for the sequencing the human genome sequences. Even 1500 to 3000 viral genome sequences at the go for the detecting the SARS-CoV-2 novel coronavirus. So this much of viral genome sequences they can detect even. So next generation sequencing machine you people remember. Okay, and definitely, guys, I told you guys RT-PCR will not helpful to you 100%. Okay, and it will definitely substantially detect the possible presence of viruses. Okay, very easily, guys. Okay, at the RT-PCR even miss out, it will inform us. Okay, and this genome method even read out the proper viruses genomes. This genome method will properly read out the virus genome, and through the help of the virus genome, it will be confirmed that literally this coronavirus infect to you or not. And finally, through the help of this viral genomic sequences, that is called NGS machine. That is a part of CSIR mega lab. In this cases, guys, we people can also track the mutation rate of the viruses also. That how viruses is going to evolve, how the genetic changes of viruses are doing. This genomic sequences machine will also detect it. As like to the PCR and other one, polymerase chain reaction other one, we have need of primers and the probes. Primers and the probes are actually what? It's a part of genetic engineering technology. Probes vagara mein we are making some small DNA proper sequences. Those sample we are going to put into the genomic studies analysis. Okay, but here the probes and primer type of things are not required. That is a study of molecular biology. Okay, and what is the benefit here, guys? Figuring out the order of DNA nucleotides, and definitely on the basis of DNA nucleotides वगैरह में what is their genomic sequencing में a proper adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine DNA bases are there. That base pair sequences we are going to check. If suppose RNA is there and single stranded RNA is there, so this RNA you convert into DNA, that reverse transcription, and DNA have a base pair sequences. A, T, G, C, C, G, C, G, G, C. Suppose the complementary DNA sequences are there. A specific set of DNA in my biotechnology class, in the classroom program, and my videos, those I already uploaded there, guys, on the Purvanchal IS app. Here I share with you specific DNA base pair sequences are a specific gene. Those are responsible for the formation of some characters. So this is specific genomic sequences we are going to check inside the DNA nucleotides. Okay, and then we people check it. One more discussion in the miscellaneous topic about Ninja UAV. Ninja UAV is a unmanned aerial vehicles. Actually, Indian Railway has started to establish a drone-based surveillance system. So Ninja UAV is a drone-based surveillance system. Okay, that project, your work has been started by Indian Railway. It's a drone camera and covers a large area. To manage a single camera and all, 10 RP of personals are required. Okay, and definitely, guys, it's an improvement. It's an exercise may lead to the substantial improvements, especially with the help of drone surveillance. Okay, it is issued by the Ministry of India. Okay, so this is overall, guys. Okay, Ministry of Railway, actually, Ministry of Railway. So this, if anywhere this question will come, Ninja UAV as something. So you remember it is only work for the surveillance, especially for the Indian Railway. That's all. Nothing more here in this case. So Ninja UAV, it is a miscellaneous topic. Okay, that I just brought it. Your paper remember. Just like UPSC asked the last year in 2021 question about the application of civilian drones. So many application of civilian drone UPSC asked in your paper. So it's a book, guys, that is available in the market. This is my both two book that I published, Science and Tech and the Environment. Those I have written. It is published on the McGraw-Hill, and this is available on the outlets at the books, bookstall, and plus on Amazon and the Flipkarts, everywhere this is available. This book you should not left even in your preparation, guys. It's a single book and single solutions, as I feel so, and accordingly I have written it on the basis of my last 20 years of teaching experiences. So whenever you would, even many of the platforms, they started to teach you this book. So better why not you are listening me as an original teacher, and that all the courses are available on Purvanchal IS app. So if you people are wanted to my courses and all, if you miss it, yeah, many years back, if you listen my classes, so you can listen me. All the 11 chapters are given here. Those are the important for the UPSC, and for that purposes you can go for directly on the Purvanchal IS app. You can download it. Science and environment modules. Okay, around 100 plus videos I already made it here. That will be beneficial to all of you. And yes, of course, for the full general studies courses, 700 plus static lessons are also there. That courses are also available. And the last, chalte, if you people are in the nearby areas of Gorakhpur, UP, so it's an institution, those are established especially and working for the sustainable education platform. 1/3 fees of the Delhi-based institutions we are charging only. All content materials, test paper, everything on the proper schedule basis we are organizing for both Hindi and English medium aspirants. Okay, and here all the Delhi-based teachers are coming and taking your classes at very nominal fees. So thank you everybody. For this any kind of help, you people can contact on the given number, and stay tuned with me, guys, for the next video. That updation I'll do for the September month. So be safe, take care yourself and your family. Have a good day. Bye.